Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. And we've titled it today, Keep On Moving, because did you know that staying in the same position for too long can cause serious harm to your health? Well, tonight we'll be talking about thrombosis and how it can affect anyone if you're not careful. But not moving or doing anything different can also cause damage to your mental health and life in general. My guests tonight are Robert Arians from the British Society for Haemostasis and Thrombosis and psychotherapist Patricia McGillicuddy. Also, we have the Self-Development Clinic with Chris Brown later on. So if you want to get involved and tweet your views, you can do so at The Chrissy B Show and also Facebook, The Chrissy B Show. But first of all, let's speak to Lizzie with some news articles. Hello, darling.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Well, you're really facing me there, aren't you? What about the...
I forgot to turn my chair around in the thing.
Right. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good,
Now, are we
good.
going to argue today over the news articles? Because we kind of started arguing already. Because we have very different opinions, don't we?
We do.
Go on then, hit us with the first one.
So I think most of the viewers may know, but some people they don't. There was a dinner lady who was sacked after she served pork to a Muslim student. Now, the lady's name, she's Alison Waldock, and she had the job as a dinner lady for 11 years. And because she did it, she said she didn't remember, like she had forgotten about it. She served the Muslim student the pork and she got sacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was too extreme. I really thought, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the story or anything like that, but first of all, I don't know if the student ate the pork, first of all. Did she actually eat it? Does it say there?
I don't know. It doesn't say that she ate it or not. She probably did, though. I figure she did. I don't know how old the student was, but probably.
I just thought it was just too extreme because imagine all those students. And, you know, anyone could have a sort of a bad day in the sense of they're not really concentrating or they've got something on their mind. But to at least to sack her, I think it was very extreme.
Yeah,
but I don't think a dinner lady should be expected to kind of know everything and every single student. Yeah, but you should,
because that's part of your job as well. Imagine if a doctor says, oh, I had a bad day, I'm sorry, I did a wrong kind of...
Yeah, that's different. That's not life-threatening.
It's not life-threatening, but it's serious. When you're looking after someone's child like that and you have certain rules that you have for them and someone else does something different, you're going to be upset.
If she'd done it deliberately for a laugh, say, okay, I'm going to serve because I'm going to serve this student because I know she can't eat pork, then that's something different if she was found that she'd done it on purpose. But it was a genuine mistake. It could happen to anyone. And the fact that, she just got sacked, she wasn't even like given a warning or reprimanded in any way. I just thought it was too extreme.
I mean, it's bad because she was, 11 years she had that job. But at the same time, when you're caring for
harsh.
When you're caring for, well, no, because if someone did that to my child, someone's looking after, had certain rules, and it wasn't followed.
Make mistakes.
You can't make mistakes with people's children. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think we're going to have to disagree on that.
I agree with what they did.
Maybe our viewers want to get involved. Should we I don't know if I should open the phone lines for this one. But
we can do
anyway,
that vote poll.
Maybe, okay, you can call me. I'll think about taking the call. 0207 686 6300, or you can also email me on chris@chriscybshow.tv. Okay. So should we agree to disagree on that one?
Okay, let's see if anyone calls in, the viewers say. We'll see what happens.
All right, go on.
Okay, and the next one, there's a hotel. Have you heard about the hotel that they have for dogs?
No.
Okay, there's a hotel called the Four Seasons Hotel, and they've now launched a
Four Seasons or Four Seasons?
Four Seasons, sorry.
Seasons. Oh.
Four Seasons, is that? No, Four Seasons.
Yeah.
And it's £47,000 holiday for a dog. Just for the dog. Like, they used to be like 47,000. That's how much it costs to send your dog on a holiday to that hotel. They go to... they do master classes, they make trips to like Harrods and do all different things like that with them.
That's just
£47,000.
That's just the world gone mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a dog. I mean, I love dogs and everything. I love animals, but they don't know what they're doing. They just want to be out in a field running around and like jumping in lakes and stuff. They don't want to be going to Harrods and...
Yeah, I mean, there used to be like kennels.
I think that's people that have got too much money. They don't know what to do with
way too much money, yeah. But it's cute in a way, but yeah, too much money. And I don't know if we have pictures of this one. There's a museum, it's just near Boston, called the Museum of Bad Art. I don't know if you can get a picture there. And it collects pieces, they have new pieces, and it's like artwork that's really, really bad. I don't know if we have any pictures of it. I was looking at some of the pictures there.
I hope we've got pictures of it, guys, in the control room, do we? Anyway, carry on talking is until then.
I was looking through, they have like around 10 maybe photos. They are so funny. And it's basically artwork that people have done. They've done it seriously, but it's been placed there because it's just so bad. They have like a tiger, looks like a 4-year-old's drawn it, and all different things, like a foot, like 2 feet.
Do people actually, the artists actually know that?
Yeah, they know it's gone there. Yeah, they know it's gone there.
Oh,
I mean, I don't think they planned for it to go there, but like the whole museum is dedicated to
think
bad
that's really
art.
cruel, don't you?
At least they get, you know, a bit of spotlight.
Yeah, but for the wrong reason.
It is
it's
really
like when
funny,
they have
the
X
pictures.
Factor and when they take the mickey. You know, when they bring the really bad singers. Actually, I do find it quite funny when the singers are really bad, but I don't like it when they bring them actually onto the live show just to take the mickey out of them.
Yeah.
Just to make fun
I
of them.
only
think
watch
that's
it up
going
until
too
then because it
far.
is funny. It is funny.
I don't know. I just think that's a bit cruel. I think it's taking things too far.
All
We're
right.
not going to agree on anything, are we?
No, today we're not.
It's amazing that we're friends, actually.
Let's see if we agree on this one.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
in Russia, there was a driver and he became so annoyed because he parked his car and then he went to move his car. Another car had gone his way, so he was like blocked in. And so the guy filled his car with cement. I don't know if we have the pictures of this, and you can't believe, you know the big things that turn to make the cement?
Yeah.
He actually put it through the window of the guy's car, and the whole cement was going through, and he filled the guy's car with cement.
Oh my gosh, that's
It's actually
terrible.
quite funny, but it's a bit too much. But I don't know
You
if
see,
we have
these are the kind of
pictures
things
it's
that,
funny.
you know, when these things happen to you and someone blocks you in or annoys you or something, these things kind of go through your head, don't they? Well, I've never had that go through my head about cement because it's, you know,
Yeah.
but other things do go through your head, and I think that's just normal. You get angry, you have these kind of thoughts, but you're never to actually go and actually do something to the person. That's like,
Yeah, I don't know what made him think to actually, oh, let me go there, get the cement thing, put it through the window, and it was all over the car.
oh no.
So it was really, I don't know, I think he was having a bad day.
Another level of road rage, that is.
Yeah. And another story, there was a little girl, she went to Fort Park, and you know the grabber machines where
Yeah.
you can go and grab the
That
toys.
you're never able to grab
Yeah,
anything.
the toys are so heavy. So the parents must have been occupied doing something. When they turned around, they saw the child inside the big machine.
How?
And they've got a picture, it's so cute. The poor little girl, she went in, you know, like they have that big
no.
flap thing. So she called herself.
She probably got fed up with not being able to get anything.
Yeah.
She went to get it herself.
Yeah, so she went in and then she was there in the glass amongst all the teddy bears. It's really cute,
Aw.
but the staff came, they got her out safe. She wasn't hurt or nothing. I think she was shocked.
I don't know why we don't
when
have
she realised
pictures
she was
today.
in there.
Something's happened inside, but
We don't
it's
have
a
no
shame we
pictures.
don't know.
Oh, well, they can look at, if they look it online, because it's very cute, the little girl, bless her, but she was
Yeah.
fine afterwards.
Aw.
And that's our news.
Okay,
for
thank
today.
you very much, Lizzie.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so at least we agreed that that one was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
And we'll have
so we're
pictures
still
next
friends
week.
then, right?
we are.
All right, so okay, thank you very much. We'll see
Okay.
you again next time. Okay, so let's now go to a video of a very good cause that we filmed in Brighton. So take a look at this. Hi everyone, today we're actually in Brighton visiting a very lovely charity called Dolphin House, and I'm here with one of the founders, Rosie Barnard, who's going to be telling us why the charity was set up in the first place. Hi Rosie, how are you?
Good to be here.
So tell us about the charity. Why did it start and what was the thinking behind it?
Dolphin House started in the early 80s. The thinking behind it was that children, you know, who are poorly would get better a lot quicker. Julian Scott, who started the charity, he treated me for asthma, and when I first started going to him, I was really, really chronically ill and at death's door. And after a couple of treatments, I could, for the first time, be able to hold a conversation. I was so breathless before. He said, because he got me well, I said, if there's anything I can do in return. And he came back and he said, will you help me start the children's clinic?
He held you to that word, didn't he?
And, you know, obviously I'm happy to help because it was so amazing to be well. And so when we started this children's clinic, it was a real, you know, gamble. We just thought, you know, is it going to work or not? So we scrounged some premises, and we had one afternoon a week in a premise in Hove, and it just absolutely took off. Everyone was so keen to come that we had to find bigger premises and longer hours, and people were phoning me all over England, from Scotland, even people from Canada came. What we wanted to do was not discriminate against anyone and charge lots of money, so we set it up as a charity And then after that, we said to people, we did the payment on a sliding scale, and even if people didn't have any money, they could still come and have treatment. It's dolphin-house.org.uk if anyone wants to have a look.
I'm here with Alison Lucas, who's one of the trustees of this charity, and she's going to be telling us how the charity has developed over the years. Hi, Alison.
Hi.
So tell us how things have moved on, because lots been happening since
There has,
the
yeah.
first beginning.
Well, since Rosie told you the story about how the charity started, and then about 20 years ago we moved to these premises here in New Road, and we've developed the number of treatments that we do now. So we still do acupuncture for children, and we also now do osteopathy and homeopathy and creative arts therapy. And then we also, as I mentioned, we sell the supplements, so we have a whole range of different supplements. And a couple of times a week we actually have a fully trained nutritionist working in the shop, so they're able to advise. All the people that work in the shop are very knowledgeable about therapies and are able to advise people on what they're buying.
Okay, and
so
I see
how it
some
could
makeup
help.
there as well.
And natural makeup, yes. I believe we're one of the very few, if not the only, shop in Brighton that actually sells natural makeup.
Oh.
And so we have a couple of different ranges, and it's very popular, and nice that people are making their faces look beautiful but naturally.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So actually one of the things I did notice as soon as we walked in was the hospitality, how friendly everyone was. So it is really a nice family environment. So if you do want to come down yourself and use the services, come to the shop, or if you'd like to support the charity, please do visit the website on the bottom of the screen. Welcome back to our show, where we're speaking all about keeping on moving. And then we did have a call from Diane from Essex regarding the little debate me and Lizzie were having earlier about the dinner lady that got sacked. And Diane was saying that she worked for a playgroup in Cardiff, and she said she respected all the children from all the different religions, and she understood, you know, that you're not supposed to serve pork to a Muslim student. But obviously, I also respect all different religions and stuff, but all I was saying is that I think it was too extreme, because I think anyone can make a mistake. That's all I was saying. So I'm still on the side of it was too harsh to sack her for something like that. But if you want to give your opinion as well, do give me a call on 020 7686 6300. Was it too harsh, or do you think it was justified to sack her? So let's hear from you as well. But at the moment, I've got with me Robert Arians from the British Society for Hemostasis and Thrombosis. And that's such a mouthful, and I've got it right twice now, so I'm really proud of myself. Did I get it right, Robert?
Perfect. That was really good, Chrissy. Well done. That was perfect pronunciation.
Thank you. So you're going to tell us all about thrombosis, first of all. So tell us about your society, first of all. What does it do?
So the BSHT helps people with thrombosis by promoting teaching of thrombosis to healthcare professionals, and just to raise general awareness of thrombosis amongst healthcare professionals. The BSHT also promotes research into the causes of thrombosis and into diagnosis and prevention of thrombosis. And so to this extent, we organize meetings, educational meetings and scientific meetings for doctors, nurses and researchers.
Can anyone get thrombosis?
So thrombosis is really a disease of all people and all ages and both sexes. Yeah, it can happen to
What actually is, if I should have probably asked that question first in case people our viewers don't know what it is, what actually is thrombosis and what can happen to you if you have it?
So thrombosis is when a blood clot occurs in a blood vessel, an artery or a vein. So normally a blood clot would only occur when there is an injury and the clot is there to stop bleeding from happening. But sometimes the clot occurs inside the vessel, and that can lead to major problems. And so it depends on where the blood clot happens in the body, what kind of problems there are. So if a clot happens in the leg or the arm, that's called a deep vein thrombosis. And this leads to swelling of the leg, and the leg becomes painful and red and warm to the touch, or the skin becomes discolored. If a clot happens in the lung, then that leads to dizziness and shortness of breath and chest pain. And often the two are linked, because when there is a clot in the leg, in a vessel in the leg, small parts of this can break off and travel to the lung and cause a pulmonary embolism. But there are other types of thrombosis as well. So for example, a clot in the heart, and we all know that heart disease is a major killer in the world, and it's ultimately a blood clot that leads to the problem in heart disease, leads to the heart attack. And so this, of course, leads, a clot in the heart can be diagnosed if the patient has chest pain, central to the chest, very strong pain. Clots in the brain are also another type of thrombosis, and the effects of this can be that a side of the face, for example, drops, or the speech becomes slurred, or the person can't raise their arm above a certain level, or
It's like the
lose
same things
feeling.
for stroke.
Yes,
similar.
and that's a
Yeah.
stroke. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we heard like not so recently, maybe like in the last few years, about travelling long distance flights and things like that, and how it's important to keep moving on those flights. How effective is that, just to sort of move your feet around and do things like that as we're instructed to? Is that quite effective, would you say?
I think it's important to do that, yes. So immobilization is one of the risk factors for deep vein thrombosis, a clot in the leg, or in fact pulmonary embolism, a clot in the lungs. And
The lungs as well, if you're not moving around.
it can cause a pulmonary embolism later on, yes. And so moving around is important, keep your legs moving, and drinking enough water is important as well. But there are other factors that can cause deep vein thrombosis, and for example, surgery is a major risk factor for deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary embolism, and especially orthopedic surgery, so surgery like hip replacement or knee replacements, incur a very high risk of deep vein thrombosis, and so these patients need treatment shortly after their operation to prevent clots from happening. Immobilization is also a risk factor, and that's what happens in long-haul flights.
Yeah.
So I had a personal friend of mine who had a PE when he traveled to Singapore, and he's a very young chap. He was in his late 20s, and he worked for a security IT firm and went to Singapore for a week, and he got off the plane and started feeling chest pain and dizziness and shortness of breath. And so he did the right thing. He went to the hospital in Singapore, and the hospitals in Singapore have an excellent reputation. But somehow they misdiagnosed his PE for a chest infection and just prescribed him antibiotics and sent him away. And of course it didn't help, so he still had chest pains. He stayed the whole week, did his work, but he still had chest pain. And he came back and checked in, and that's when it was discovered that he had a PE. And this is now 2 years ago, and he struggled for quite a while, for a year after it happened, to come back to full strength again.
Well, let's talk about prevention then, because obviously, I mean, is it quite easy to spot if you do have it? Apart from the chest pains and stuff, is there anything more subtle that people should look out for?
The trouble with thrombosis is it's not that easy to detect, and so it can also be mistaken for other illnesses. So, for example, there's a clot in the lung, the shortness of breath, and the dizzy spells and chest pain can be mistaken for other diseases, and other diseases have the same symptoms. So it's very important that if you have any of those symptoms, to go and seek medical help as soon as you can and get it checked out, because the medical professionals will diagnose it correctly.
What can we do in terms of prevention then?
So in terms of prevention, the main thing is to lead a healthy lifestyle, lose weight, stop smoking. Those are all factors that help preventing, turn the odds around on thrombosis. It can happen to anyone, but if
is
you
there
do
not one
those
particular group that's more likely to get affected though?
Those risk factors, immobilization and surgery apply to all people.
But any age, it happens to anyone, any age?
Any age as well, yes. But if you lead a healthy lifestyle and you do exercise, you don't have an inactive lifestyle, and you eat a healthy diet with plenty of fibers, fruit and veg, low in salt, sugar and fatty substances, then you can reduce the chances of having thrombosis.
Gosh, it's so important, isn't it? We always hear that, make sure you exercise, make sure you eat right, but we're still naughty sometimes and don't do what we're supposed to do, and then wonder why things go wrong. But definitely, so obviously obviously the title of tonight's show is to keep moving. So
Yeah.
That's something that's very, very, very important. Now, is it hereditary as well?
There are genetic factors that can increase the risk of thrombosis, but there are a small increase in risk. In some genetic factors that are rare, the risk is higher, and so when these people are diagnosed, they get treatment. But generally, the thrombosis is a combination of risk factors. But yes, there are some genetic factors that can increase the risk.
Okay. So, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Other factors that increase risk of thrombosis are also pregnancy and oral contraceptive pill and hormone replacement therapy. So there's a slightly increased risk for thrombosis in those situations. And that's likely caused by the hormonal influences. But the increases in risk are really small.
But it's still enough to get people worried, though, isn't it? Especially if you're...
It's enough to, if there is a combination of other risk factors, then to make precautions to reduce other risk factors.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Robert, for all that information. That's certainly opened my eyes, because I wouldn't have ever sort of like the chest pains and things like that to be linked to that. But it's good to know, and to be careful too, and to be more active. Thank you so much for that advice. Thank you very much. And after the break, we're going to be joined by Patricia McGillicuddy, who is a psychotherapist. And we're going to be delving into more about how being inactive in your life in general actually causes a lot of problems. So say, for example, if you're in a relationship that's not going well and you don't do anything about it, you just leave things as they are, things will probably tend to get worse. If we don't do anything, things do get worse. And also in other situations like career and family as well. But if you want to get involved, do give me a call on 020 7686 6300. You can also email Chris at chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet Chrissy B Show and Facebook, The Chrissy B Show. Gosh, such a mouthful. Okay, so do join us after this. We'll be speaking to Patricia. Welcome back to the programme. Just something interesting here that we found. It's saying here that millions of British workers have exactly the same thing for lunch every single day. And this was a study by Wonderful Pistachios. Now, 1 in 8 tucked into an identical meal every lunchtime, and 70% of them have been eating the same thing for as long as they can remember. So it's quite interesting why people are they do the same thing day in, day out. And let's just give you some of the top 5 British favourite office lunches. That would be number 1, the ham sandwich, number 2, the cheese sandwich, number 3, the chicken sandwich, number 4, egg sandwich and vegetable soup that they tied in, and number 5, tomato soup. God, that sounds so boring. There's so many other lovely sandwiches and stuff you can have. So this is the thing about doing the same thing day in, day out. There's no excitement in your life. But let's talk about that with Patricia. Hello, Patricia.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you? What about tuna sandwiches?
I know. Or burrito. I know that's not very good for the health, Robert, is it?
Or choosing from a selection and just kind of doing a mix
of something different. Just like a ham sandwich every single day for years. It's like...
There's
bored.
There is fruit, there's vegetables, there's all kinds of things that we can have. There's salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, you've got to, live dangerously sometimes. Have a soup, or a different kind of soup.
Choose something different. I think
spicy chicken sandwich or something.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of links into what we're talking about. Yeah, when people get stuck in a rut, so they're stuck in this place, choosing the same thing every single day, and they're making that decision, I'll just have that ham sandwich. So it's like, I'll just go home and sit down and watch the TV every day. You know, there's EastEnders, they just watch this EastEnders programme every day. Sorry, oops. Yeah. I don't know how people feel about that. I mean, I'm sure that everybody loves EastEnders that watches it, but, you know, I think there is something about choosing to do something different. Record EastEnders and choose to watch it at the weekend instead, you know? Go to the gym, go out with friends, choose to make a dinner that's something different other than a ham sandwich.
Yeah. Or even cook the night before and take some leftovers for your lunch.
Work, yeah.
And we're not here disputing about the food, it's just the fact that people do sometimes that they wonder why they wake up in the morning and they're already bored and they're thinking they're not looking forward to life, they're not looking forward to anything, or going out, even going to work. And it's just sometimes just making small changes here and there can make a huge difference to your life, even if it's like what you eat for lunch.
Well, exactly, because it's a topic of conversation, isn't it? In the canteen or the kitchen, wherever they go to sit. You know, it's like, what have you brought in for lunch today? Oh, it's something I made last night. Oh, really? So what was it? And you start talking about what you were doing last night. So then the conversation begins and you're having a nice time. But if it's just the ham sandwich, you might be just sitting there with the, I don't know, the paper and being bored.
How much conversation can you make about sandwich?
Yeah, exactly. Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people do get stuck in ruts, and I think that that can also play a huge part in depression.
Yeah, definitely. I know all about depression.
Yeah,
it definitely
which is what
can.
you were saying, you know, waking up in the morning, having that same feeling like, oh, I've got to go to the same boring old job and there's nothing to look forward to, and, you know, are they wearing the same clothes every day, and do they wear the same clothes every day on the same day every week? You know, it's like change is variety, and variety is life. And I think, you know, they say variety is the spice of life. And I really truly believe that it is. I think we need to be spontaneous about things, and that spontaneity will just keep you feeling uplifted. Yeah.
Let's talk about career though, first of all, because that's something that maybe I think most people end up in a certain job or a certain career for years and they're not happy. And a lot of the times it's because that's not actually what they really want to do. Maybe they came out of, say, for example, education, and they went straight into a job just to pay the bills, basically. And they get stuck in this job for like years and years and years, and they get more and more depressed about it. But it's like they're afraid to do what they really want to do. And why would you say that is, you think?
I think sometimes that might be because people don't feel that they're good enough, or they've got a low self-esteem, they don't know how to make the changes or even take those steps to make the changes to improve where they are, from that position into the next step up in the job, or to actually change the job completely. You know, you could have been an administrator for years and years, and you know, feeling really, really bored. There are college courses, but how many people know that they can go and do these college courses and actually change their life and take up a second career, do something after work? You know, that's the sort of thing that I think people just get stuck, and they don't think that they can improve their lives. They don't think that they're good enough to do something.
Sometimes as well it's the security, because they're afraid of losing that security of that job. I remember a guest that came on, lovely guest called Peter, and he was in, I think, a banking job for like years and years, and he absolutely hated it. But he liked the security because it was quite good pay and everything. But then in the end he thought, you know what, I'm miserable here. I'm going to do what I really wanted to do, which was dancing. He wanted to teach salsa and stuff like that. So now he was saying afterwards that he earns much less, but he's a lot happier.
Because he's doing
something.
He
he wakes up every day and he's looking forward to his job. So even though he doesn't have that financial status that he did it before, but he's a lot happier inside, and I think that's the most important thing is.
It is. We have to choose what we want to do and choose to be happy and make choices in our life. I think that are about our interests. I think when people are not interested in the job that they're doing, then they become bored, and that's when they start to feel stuck in a rut. And you know, what would be a good idea for people who feel stuck in a rut is just sit down and write, what are my interests? Ask yourself, what are your interests? Write them down. And then choose something of that interest to actually pursue. You know, do you like reading? How many books do you read? You know, what sort of books do you like to read? Or do you like to go walking? Do you like nature? You know, how can you actually pursue that, and where would you go to do that? I don't think people ask themselves those questions when they're kind of stuck.
Because they're so busy running around doing everything and not thinking. That's a lot of people don't do that. Actually just think, take some time out for you without any disruptions, without anything, and just think about your life and think where you want to be. But let's talk about relationships, because that's obviously a very big thing for people, relationships. So as I was saying before the break, you know, there's some people that avoid talking about issues that are going on in a relationship. They think it's, oh, if, you know, I don't want to bring up any problems. Maybe if we talk about it, we're going to argue and things are going to get worse. But if you leave anything as it is, if there's a problem, you leave anything as it is, guaranteed it's going to get worse and worse. I know, for example, someone that she didn't say anything for years about what was going on in her marriage. She didn't want to speak about it, didn't want to open up, and in the end she just wanted to divorce her husband, and the poor thing didn't know what was going on because they hadn't been communicating. He thought everything was okay, she was miserable, and then the marriage just going downhill. So that's not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing. And I think sometimes people get stuck in that rut because they feel secure financially. There's the house to think about. They're both sharing the same home. Who's going to move out if you know these things do escalate? And so people and they don't want to argue. You know, lots of people just want a peaceful life. But I think it really is important to raise the subject. But it's how you raise the subject, I think, in relationships. And you know, and that's always a difficult one as well, isn't it? And people don't want to have the confrontation. That's the most difficult thing.
But it is hard to do. But I think once you actually, and even actually, sometimes you need a little bit of help, don't you? If you're maybe afraid of initially talking to your partner, I think the first step, you do have to speak to your partner first of all. But then after that, if you're finding it hard, think you're starting to argue, you're not understanding each other's viewpoint, there's always counselling. You can go for counselling, you can go for, get someone to help you.
There's couples counselling and there's also individual counselling. So, you know, talking to somebody about what the issues are so that you can become clearer about what those issues are. So that when you actually do sit down to talk to your partner, you know exactly what you want to say. Rather than kind of everything coming out at once. And then choosing the right time and choosing how to do it. I think all of those points are really important.
You know what, sometimes even just changing small things, like we were talking about at the beginning, even just changing small things in your life can make a big difference to how you feel. So maybe you're not going through like a serious relationship problem, or you're quite happy in your career, but you're still bored with your life. I'd like to set a challenge for our viewers today. And maybe for this, we're kind of near enough at the beginning of the month. Why don't you try to do something different each day this month? Whether that be something very small, like not having a ham sandwich every Monday for lunch.
And not wearing that same suit every Wednesday.
So change maybe what you eat for lunch, change what you wear normally, buy something different, buy something, maybe you're always in dark clothes, buy something colourful to wear, see how you feel with that. Go to a different restaurant,
have a
haircut, yes. Go, any ideas, Robert? What can you do?
Do something else in the evening.
Do something else.
Change your house around.
That's a brilliant one. Change the house around.
That is a really good one,
because that's very important. Sometimes you get fed up in your own house sometimes, but just moving a bit of furniture around, you could do that. What else?
That's a really important one, Robert. Space clearing.
Gosh.
In your home, just clear out the space, throw away what you don't want, and you will immediately begin to feel lighter. Your life changes and you begin to make new choices, actually. So yes, space clearing. Might be doing some of that myself.
Do you know what I know it's really weird, but even if I buy just like a small thing, even if it's like a little vase or something, I end up rearranging my whole room just because of that little vase. It's so weird.
How you want to see it.
I do that. So I think, you know, just try that this month and see how you feel. And you'll be surprised. Maybe you think, oh, but I'm not very creative. I don't know what to do. Just start thinking about things, or even just flick through some magazines, go online, just see different things that you can do. And trust me, it's going to make such a difference to your month. And, you know, if you continue with this thing, but if you continue doing this, you're going to see a difference. You're going to have probably more confidence. And I think it's going to open doors for people as well, isn't it?
Maybe you know what I think would be a really good idea, Chrissy, is if they give you a call after a month and let you know.
I'd love
if somebody challenges themselves.
I would love that, definitely. Good idea, Patricia. I'll give the number again. Make sure you note it. Actually, I'll give you my email because you might forget the number by then. It's chris@chrissybshow.tv. If you're in this challenge and you'd really like to see things happening, things different in your life, do email me. So we're going to go to a quick break now. Thank you so much, Patricia.
You're welcome.
Thanks again, Robert. And we're going to keep on moving and doing things differently.
And
changing.
Change.
Okay, so after the break, we're going to be speaking to Chris Brown with the Self-Development Clinic with much more advice for us. Join us there. Welcome back to our Keep Moving show, and now we're going to keep on moving with the show and speak to Chris Brown in our lovely self-development clinic with the wobbly table.
Oh yes, moving table. We've got to keep it lively, haven't we? You know, goes with the chair. Keep moving.
How are you, Chris?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you yourself?
I'm very well.
Yeah, yes. Great. Do you know what? Interesting show. Keep moving.
Yes, it is.
I thought it's brilliant, getting unstuck, that sort of area. And I just want to tail off from that because I'm talking about beat the negatives.
Okay.
Right, so talking about beat the negatives, we're talking about areas that we actually get stuck, right? And, sorry about it, little drift there. Right, talking about beating the negatives, we're talking about areas that we actually get stuck sometimes. And What you've got to remember is no matter what you're going through, whatever situation that you're going through, remember this, that it's always temporary. No matter what negative is going through, it is temporary. It's a time that you're going to go through it. It will not last forever. But sadly, some people tend to think that way, that this is going to go on. My life is the worst life I've ever had. My finances, everything, job situation, whatever, and it's going on. And they get into a spiral where they go down, 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 down. So what we're saying is, look, this is only temporary. Think towards the end, the final outcome, what's going to happen at the end of the day, and look for the brighter side as well.
Okay.
So let's move on from there as well, okay? And talking about number 2 here, we're talking about get friendly with Mr. Endorphin. Mr. Endorphin, good little friend to know. Ever heard of Mr. Endorphin? No. Okay, Mr. Endorphin's a great friend to know, because Mr. Endorphin, basically, endorphins is a natural chemical that gets released into our body, and it gives us a sense of well-being. So when we get that sense of well-being, we tend to look at things from a different perspective and be more creative and getting into it. So how do we get friendly with Mr. Endorphin? Right, we enroll in the gym. Right, we enroll in the gym. If you can't afford the gym, just go for a walk each morning. I know, but it's a good thing to do. You know, it's funny because myself before, every time that I realise I've done some training and walking, and then I go onto computers to do anything, the brain is just buzzing. It's just going, it's going. It's a great thing to do. So I'm going to advise anybody, whatever rut you're in, whether it's to pick yourself up, go swimming, go running, take a walk, change your environment, do something active, do some sit-ups, all that, then do what you got to do and look at the perspective then. Your mind changes. That chemical that gets released in your body helps you to look at things in a more positive way and deal with it at that time. Yeah, so that's number 3, right? Number 2, sorry. Right, now what we're talking about here as well is number 3, which is a question one has is, sometimes we get into this thing called like a mental prison, and we're asking like, well, who's got the keys? Who's got the keys to this mental prison? And you know who's got the keys? You. Well, not you, but you know, yourself, right? Yeah, you've got the keys to that, and you've got to work out how to actually unlock that, because here's the situation. If you're in it, you've got to know how to actually get out of it. And sometimes you might need somebody else to actually go through that with you, if you trust, but on another level as well. You've got to work out, well, look, this is a mental prison. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to take myself out of this situation? Or we could go around moaning about it all day and tell everybody how bad things are. Nothing wrong with sharing. Please don't get me wrong on that. There is nothing wrong with sharing. But it's the idea of taking control of that situation, unlocking that door, that prison in mind, and being free from that.
The problem is that people always think, when they're in that kind of situation, they're always thinking, oh my God, how did I get here? Why has this happened to me? And it's those kind of questions that don't actually help the situation at all. Instead of asking yourself, okay, I'm in this situation now, how am I going to get out of it?
Right.
You're asking, why did I get into it in the first place? It's important to know why, but at that time, it's not going to, probably won't help you. You need to find out how you're going to get out of that situation. And maybe then when you're looking back, okay, why did I get into that? So I won't do it again, kind of thing.
Experience.
But you have to sort of change. You have to start thinking of solutions rather than the actual problem itself.
That is it. And it's about changing your thoughts first to actually change your life. If you change your thoughts, your life will change. You'll see things in a different perspective, a different way of looking at it overall, right? So, funny thing is, the number 4, which I'm actually going to go to, is much to what you just said.
Oh, sorry.
How did I get? No, that's all right.
Keep doing that, Dot.
It's good. Mind like.
That shows I don't read his notes before.
Right, it's how did I get here? And you got to think about it. Imagine this, when you go on a journey, it's always, when you're driving, you're going somewhere you've never been before, you look at the map, you find out where to go, and it's hard, it seems like it's long to get there. But to get back home, you're back in no time, right? Let's take that into our life as well at the same time. If you know how you actually got there, right, you should actually be able to work out a path how to actually come out of it. So I wouldn't say totally ignore how I got there, but no, not to dwell on that and say, this is what I'm at, this is how I got here. You've got to work out, much like you said, how to get out. It's not a good thing to beat yourself up over it, because no matter what anybody tells you, you are in control of you, and you're going to beat yourself up worse. And they'll say, well, no, that's not the problem. Why? The reason why is because, no, I know at the end of the day. So you do it to yourself, right? So you've got to remember that as well. How did I get there? So how to get out. Here's another one, number 5, be intentional. Be intentional. Don't take life as just luck, chances, and going whichever way it happens. And sometimes we do that. We live our life. It might be the work situation. It might be the home life, family, love life, finances, whatever. So let's talk about finances in that sense. We're waiting for something to happen. So a bit of luck comes here, that happens. Oh, it's great, but then it runs out. So the wind blows this way, I go that way. No, be intentional. Know exactly what you want, have an intention about it, and follow it through. Right? You need to take control over your life in that sense. So be intentional. It's really important in everything you do.
Don't just go where the wind blows then.
No, don't go where the wind blows. That's a good catchphrase. Actually, don't go where the wind blows. That's exactly it. I mean, you think about it, even a baby
it's a
does
good place.
Well, depends. If a nice place, yeah, okay. But
then it's
even
doing something different as well, isn't it?
well, it is. It is about being different, yeah. I mean, you think about it, even a baby has intention straight away. I want this, I want this, I want this, and cries about, screams about until they get it. And then after partway through in life, we get a bit of intelligence, we start growing up, maturing, and we're not that intentional about certain things and achieving our life and our goals, what we want, yeah? So be intentional. Now, to round up on that, you just mentioned a while ago, this has gone off on me, here we go. Keep moving, right? Keep moving. The very theme we was talking about earlier on, keep moving. And how do we keep moving? Keep learning, right? Don't stand still. The moss is going to grow under your feet and you'll redo it, you'll reverse and go back to what you did before. So keep learning, keep moving, keep doing new things each and every day. This way, you will renew yourself as well. You can actually design your own life. Do you know that? You can map it out how you want it and design your life. But you've got to keep learning, keep moving, do new things each day.
Definitely.
Great one, overall.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Very much welcome. Spot on, Dot.
Spot on. Great
right.
for the programme today. Okay, so on Wednesday, we're going to be speaking all about summer holidays and also how to make sure you stay safe. And we've got a few horror stories to share with you about things that went wrong on holiday with people. Have you ever had a holiday disaster, Chris?
Not too bad. Actually, I did actually. I remember it was a hurricane that went off.
Oh, is that
so bad my hair went off. No. I saw that.
I did feel weird about his hair. I asked him if he had a holiday disaster. Not really, and then he remembers the hurricane.
I just remembered it, yeah, I just remembered it. No, we was meant to go on a holiday, and what happened, they had a hurricane in Cuba, so we didn't go. We switched. Had a beautiful holiday in Mexico.
Oh, was it nice?
So it could have been bad. Yeah, it could have been bad, but we switched. Great, brilliant. Never forgot it. Best holiday I've had.
I didn't know you went to Mexico.
Yeah, it was great. It was lovely. Cool. Cancun, never forget it.
Lovely.
You know? Yeah, want to go again.
Okay.
So if I'm not around next week or something, you know where I am.
All right.
Yeah? Okay.
You better tell me before because we need you on the show. Okay, that's all we've got time for, folks. But I do hope you've benefited from the show today. And please do keep moving. And don't forget the little challenge that we set to do something different every day this month. And then email me to let me know how you went on chris@chrissybshow.tv. See you next time. Bye-bye for now. You've got us lost for 2 hours in London.
It's not my fault.
It's your fault. You're supposed to be navigator. You take calls when we're at crucial moments.
Yay, we made it! Gosh, I can't believe it.
The Bob. The tent's moving, the tent's moving. No, that's what these are for. The handy spare ones from Starbucks. Ketchup from McDonald's. It's not a risotto, you don't have to keep stirring it, you should let it cook.
It's like soup.
Stop stirring it!
We should go on MasterChef, should we? We should start a cooking show.
Stop stirring, let it cook! Okay, stop stirring. Just obsessed with stirring. Stop stirring! Whites from KFC. Oh, it's a bit, oh no, oh, there's insects under there.
What is that?
We get a plate for the eggs.
I knew I was going to do that.
I put that on the barbecue by mistake.
Yeah, I can taste sand, like sandy dirt.